Hi friends, welcome back. Today I'd like to share 5 more big cards. And in this case, I mean big cards in the most literal of senses. So not necessarily big dollars or big significant, but I mean literally big. My very first video, I shared this guy that I picked up from a good friend Joe. So actually this is a Butterfinger. So Lou Gehrig. This is from 1934. I want to make sure I had my year right. I thought it was 34. But obviously it's literally a big card. So I'm not going to count that. I'm going to show you 5 more. So Lou Gehrig's a good way to kick off. That's probably the most significant one I've got. But there's some other players that I've picked up over the years that are kind of cool as well. So we'll keep with the Butterfinger theme. What you find with these, they're extremely, extremely thin. Think like magazine page, kind of thin, flimsy. So protecting them, these might not be so bad to get slabbed. This one's in just like a, preserving top loader, essentially. But there's Lefty Grove. I'm a huge Lefty Grove collector as well. You'll hear me probably say that for about 25 different people, but that's one of them. Being kind of a player collector, I not only try and collect all I can, but I dive in a little bit deeper on Lefty Grove. So I'll pick up some of these, less traditional. Displaying this obviously is a little bit tougher. So as you get a display case or a shelf, this has to be something that you want to give some real estate to, because keeping it boxed is not as easy. Keeping it preserved becomes a challenge if you're going to just simply sock it away, at least in my world. So blank backs. So easy enough to access. You can tell a lot of these, this one has a rip in the top corner. It's pretty typical. I feel like even when you see these that are getting a 1.5 kind of grade, you'll notice some like dings and tears that if it was a regular card, they would just call it authentic and call it done. So grading system has to be a little bit more forgiving, but there's a couple of Butterfingers for you. Another one I want to jump in and show y'all. Somehow I did these Noah's Ark style. They're like 2x2, but I didn't necessarily mean to. This is a 1909 to 13, so it's a little bit of a range. Sporting News supplements, so it's M101. I think last video I showed a -4 that was a George Sisler. This is considered a -2, so I've got 2 to show actually from that series, and I get to cheat because one of them's graded and one of them's not, so I get to kind of read off what that is. But again, these are huge, so they're not the easiest thing to show on camera. If I get too close to where it's clear for you, it might be only a portion of what the actual image is. But Mordecai Brown, Three Finger Brown, definitely one of those in the top 3 or so of people I collect. So kind of felt like to keep that run, that collection going, I had to add this big guy. So we'll still pick this up somewhat recently. Back is blank, so you can almost see just with the lighting. I mean, I feel like it almost looks see-through. It's so thin, but I love that image. There's a few of those on more modern cards, which I love seeing modern cards with players from 100 years ago, because I feel like that's a great way to get a kid opening packs looking for Ohtani and Trout and whoever else. It's a great way to get them familiar with some of these names. So that's an image I've seen a lot on various cards from the 80s through, today. But I just, that Mordecai Brown image between his hand, the pitching pose, his glove, it's all so very cool. This other one is, I guess we'll keep Chicago theme here. So it's another Chicago figure. I won't say player, although he was at one point, but not at this point. So we'll share this exact same series. So you're still looking at the Sporting News series, but grab this one. Let's say it was last year, maybe. There was probably a dozen of these up for auction. So this is Charles Comiskey, for anyone that's not familiar with what he would have looked like. I remember growing up going to Comiskey Park. So I don't know what they even call it at this point. If you don't call it Comiskey Park, you're not a Sox fan. How about that? The sell and all these things. Once they start selling off rights, it's not nearly as fun. But when you get that distinguished image of executives and owners and GMs and managers and things. And, this guy's got his bow tie on, his hat on, nice coat. Just such a cool, iconic look for the era. So, what did people look like 110 years ago if they were business professionals and gentlemen? Charles Comiskey is what it would be. So I love looking at that. That's just a cool addition, and not something that you see. It's definitely not a dime a dozen, common pickup. So I'm really happy to have that on my shelf. All right, last two are same series. So I did a little bit of digging on this. R311. So there's two finishes, and just random luck, I end up having one of each. So there's a glossy, which is obviously a very shiny finish to it. And then there's a leather finish, which has much more of a matte kind of look. They're roughly 6x8. They were produced in 1936. So still good age, almost 90 years old at the point I'm recording this. And nice little run. There was 28 glossy players, I believe, and 15 of the leather finish. So for anyone that's like a set collector, if you're looking for a little bit easier set to complete, I think the leather sells for a little bit of a premium just because there's less of them. I don't know if they're any more scarce necessarily. I haven't really seen that through what I've been researching for, but these are very, very cool. So they're 6x8, so they're not quite as big as the magazine page. And these, because they both were purchased slabbed, I've not touched them. So I can't necessarily attest to how thick, thin, or what they might look like. But again, I think they're just some of the coolest images. So this one's glossy. Dizzy Dean, obviously. And, to me, that's just like, what a cool card and image. The other weird thing is, when I bought these, I believe they're both a 3. So different grading companies, but really, really nice example. I mean, these things, when you look at, sometimes you look and see things and you see like, a 6 is way nicer than a 2. I don't know what you do to get nicer on something like this. A 3 is gorgeous. Love that. So Dizzy Dean, who obviously is very, very hard to come by. You've got what's in 33, 34, 35 stuff, and after that, you're hunting and pecking for whatever you can find available. So having a Dizzy Dean in such a nice size, too, you get such a good image of him, his uniform, gloves. And then this last one is another guy I feel like going along with, so same series, R311. It's a leather finish, but Lefty Grove, I kind of got, I don't know, into a mood or a phase or whatever, where Lefty Grove and then this player I collected really, really hard, and they're same era, same team, kind of dynamic and stuff. So not that I collect the team, but the players themselves and their stories are really, really cool. So another one, R311, 36, leather finish. It is a 3. This one's PSA. But the other thing I love is just check out these images. So Jimmy Fox, when you look at Baseball Reference or wherever, and even growing up when I would buy cards, sometimes they'd list him as a third baseman. Sometimes you see some catcher gear. He's mostly first base from what I've seen in his actual playing splits, but had a little bit of time different places. But look how cool. You talk about like just a neat image. So Jimmy Fox as a catcher, I don't know that he's really doing any catching at this point. I don't know if he's warming up a pitcher, but look at that mask. Look at that chest guard. Like, just everything about that picture is just awesome. And then you get a good shot of his face, too. So, neat Jimmy. So, I just wanted to share those. There was a few folks that commented and had some response to the Lou Gehrig, and Lou's obviously amazing, but looking at some of the big cards, these are literally big cards. So I want to share those. A few different sets if you're out there, hunting, looking for something. If you're a player collector and you realize you're kind of hitting the end of the road with, Gaudies and Diamond Stars and play balls and things like that, you can dive in and start looking for some of these more kind of off the norm, beaten path, oddball kind of stuff. So hopefully that's fun. Hopefully you see a couple things there you want to pick up. I've seen another Jimmy Fox pop up, and I was tempted to buy it too, just because I love that so much. I'd put that in 2 different rooms. I don't know. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you have anything else to share or something else I should be on the lookout for. Appreciate it. See you guys next time. Thanks.